EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to make payments online hassle-free. Log in securely with biometric technology. Make recurring payments easier with automated scheduling. Save time by paying your bills online. Transfer money to accounts at other local and regional banks. Send wire transfers on the go to anywhere in the world. Or send money to friends or family using buddy payment. E-payments, the swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money. Welcome home.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
And Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consult.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful. Good. Top of the day, I have to say, because people look at this program anytime, and I don't want to necessarily date it to a particular time of day. So blessings to all of you folks. It's so lovely to be in the land of the living and to come and join you once more on this program. As per usual, pull up your chair. Pull up your chair, folks. This evening we're going to have something very instructive. Tell a friend, gather your household, and let's have some frank talk. Thank you for joining as you continue your 3-month journey. Well, as a matter of fact, you've just started today your 4-month journey into 2023. Effortlessly wiser and more aware as to how, who, when, and where to avoid on your forward, onward, and upward journey. This is my 115th independent live session and my 13th for 2023. Really, folks, please remember to share. Hit that share button and let's get as many people in this room as possible, because our topic for today is centered around learned helplessness cause the many destructive habits of unhappy people. Hello? Learned helplessness caused many destructive habits of unhappy people. And God knows we live in a society with a lot of unhappy people. Unhappy for one reason or the other. But it all starts, folks, with you. Our society today has become a place where many of our people can be described as helpless, hapless, and hopeless. These are labels they attract to themselves by their very inaction and the scant attention they pay to their own lives. You see, the level of consciousness we are able to witness each day just about, by about, I would say, the majority of our countrymen prove the existence of learned helplessness indeed. Several of you may have heard the term and probably want to know some more in order to make a determination of whether we are victims of this or not. Well, folks, learned helplessness is the state that occurs after a person has experienced a stressful situation repeatedly. That person comes to believe that he or she is unable to control or change the situation. So, guess what? He or she does not even try. Even when opportunities for proper change becomes available, that person refuses to try. Isn't that familiar though? Aren't we witnessing this all around us on account of the extended reign of that old nastiness and the damaging effect on the psyche of many of our people? I have researched this particular matter. Matter of fact, I love to research. And in so doing, I encountered lots of facts about this topic of learned helplessness, which psychologists first described in that way in 1967, after a series of experiments on animals suggesting that their findings do apply to humans more so. Learned helplessness leads to increased feelings of stress, and for some people, it is linked with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Now, today we will explore the state of learned helplessness and make some stout suggestions as to how to overcome it. An American Psychological Association agrees that learned helplessness occurs when someone repeatedly faces uncontrollable, stressful situations, then does not exercise control when it becomes available. You see, folks, they have learned that they are helpless in that situation and no longer try to change it, even when change is possible. Look at how a majority of people in Grenada welcomed change on the 23rd of June 2022, and continuing, of course. Yet for all, a certain segment of our population resist the change with every fiber in their bodies. One of the, you can see that all around. We don't have to look too far to see it. But once a person having this experience discovered, or that they cannot control events around them, they lose motivation. Even if an opportunity arises that allows the person to alter their circumstances, they just do not take action. Again, we're seeing that all around us. The green juice is strong. Individuals experiencing learned helplessness are often less able to make decisions. Isn't that the case with many of our poor and vulnerable, whom the old nastiness damaged beyond repair? You see, when I say the old nastiness and all his enablers should be brought to a public square and flogged regularly, I have good grounds for my strong utterances. Learned helplessness can increase a person's risk of depression. You see, there's a Professor Martin Seligman one of the psychologists credited with defining learned helplessness. He has detailed 3 key features of learned helplessness. In fact, he says 1, becoming passive in the face of trauma. 2, difficulty learning that responses can control trauma. And 3, an increase in actual stress. But what are the symptoms? You see, learned helplessness can impair a person's ability to handle stressful situations. It can also increase the risk of mental health conditions like depression and even anxiety. Some of the symptoms commonly associated with learned helplessness would include, and are not limited to, feeling a lack of control over the outcome of situations, failing to ask for help, having low self-esteem, low confidence in self, decreased motivation, putting less effort into tasks, lack of persistence, feelings of frustration, passivity, giving up easily. Now, it is particularly common among people who have experienced issues like trauma, domestic violence, childhood neglect, or political victimization as dished out daily by that old nastiness from 1995 to the 23rd of June 2022, for the most part. You see, medical professionals usually consider learned helplessness a type of thought disorder rather than a mental health condition. But listen to this carefully. It can contribute to or worsen the symptoms of several mental health conditions, including post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, or even depression. For example, a person with a history of prolonged abuse, like dished out to so many by the old nastiness as referred to earlier, and neglect, which saw the statistics of the poor and vulnerable becoming a local plague, as it were, develop learned helplessness and feelings of powerlessness. Some characteristics of learned helplessness in children include low self-esteem, low motivation, low expectations of success, low persistence, not asking for help, ascribing a lack of success to a lack of ability, ascribing success to factors beyond their control, such as luck. Folks, I am sure that your eyes are opening up to the realization that learned helplessness caused many destructive habits of unhappy people. Let's take a little break. We have a lot more where that came from. So let's take a little break and we'll come back for more.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Folks, welcome back. Thank you very much for joining. Keep that hand on the share button and let's get many more people in the room because this is very instructive. We are diagnosing what we are living with in Grenada, learned helplessness. Good. And it's very, very important that we spread this word so that once people understand what the diagnosis is, they can now reach out for help. Good. So all of you joining, I really don't have much time this evening to pay homage as I normally do, but you'll understand because we have a little bit of an extension tonight also, because this is quite a subject matter. So thank you very much. I trust and pray that you understand. So welcome back. Why does learned helplessness only affect some people? A person's experiences can increase their risk of developing learned helplessness. It typically begins after experiencing repeated traumatic events, such as childhood abuse, as we said, domestic violence, or extremely poor and highly abusive leadership, the likes of which many Grenadians experienced at the hands of that old nastiness for a prolonged period. However, not everyone who goes through these things develop learned helplessness. You don't have to look too far to find them. Look one here. I, for one, refuse to allow the actions of this old nastiness to immobilize me. Imagine certain strong-willed people were on the list of that old nastiness to be made into bankrupts. Could you imagine that? Oh, Lord. Folks, people with a pessimistic explanatory style, causing them to view negative events as unavoidable and resulting from their shortcomings, are more likely to experience learned helplessness. People with an optimistic explanatory style are less likely to do so. But what are some of the consequences? You see, over time, learned helplessness can impact a person's performance at work, at school, or even at play during sports. In fact, some research suggests that learned helplessness, anxiety, and low perceived self-efficacy could negatively affect performance in specific academic subjects, such as mathematics. But isn't mathematics the source subject of deductive reasoning? So you see where this is going. It naturally follows that learned helplessness is the culprit that has retarded our people's ability at reason. In addition to impairing academic success, students who develop learned helplessness during adolescence may also carry these practices into adulthood. This can influence a person's work life and social and psychological well-being. Learned helplessness may also increase the risk of certain mental health conditions, including, as we said, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. But how to overcome learned helplessness? That's a good one. People with learned helplessness can overcome it. The most common treatment is therapy, especially cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. That helps people overcome these types of challenges by changing how they think and act. A lot of public servants can do well with some therapy in this regard because they've been damaged by that old nastiness. And that old nastiness's style of leadership, where 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, they could look out for a telephone call with the biggest of abusive words flavored in between to get them to do what the old nastiness wants them to do. Deed. Now, in therapy, look at some of the areas you can benefit from and, of course, receive support and encouragement. Explore the origins of learned helplessness. Develop ways to decrease feelings of helplessness. Identify negative thoughts that contribute to learned helplessness. Identify behaviors that reinforce learned helplessness. Replace thoughts and behaviors with more positive and beneficial ones. Improve self-esteem and self-confidence. Work through challenging emotions. Address instances of abuse, neglect, and trauma, so people like that old nastiness could never enslave or damage you mentally again. Set goals and tasks for yourselves, remembering always to take care of number one, for fear that if you don't, you end up like number two. And you and I know what number two is code name for. Never underestimate, folks, the powerful contribution exercise can make in your process of therapy. In fact, never underestimate the power of jettisoning several people from your lives. You need to get rid of a lot of people you have in your life right now. They are not good for you. Some of them are even relatives and family members. Love them from a distance. They are damaging you. They are causing you to live a life that is forgettable, because every day you are fighting and fending off all their negatives. Move far from them. Close off some of these so-called friends that you have to second guess and wait until you are sick or you're in trouble to finally discover that they were not your friends in the first place. Folks, wake up now, man. Though there is no research into this particular effect of exercise in humans, physical activity usually benefits mental health and can reduce or prevent anxiety, depression, stress, and other health problems. So there is a correlation, as you can see. How about eating a healthful diet and staying away from processed foods and KFC? How about meditating, practicing mindfulness? There are other lifestyle changes that you can, boost a person's mental health and outlook. Keep away from negative people. Keep away from the doomsday people that are around you. Keep away from news that distresses you and mess with your emotions. Don't forget to stay away from idiots while you're at it. And God knows our landscape is full of them. A matter of fact, Grenada, I believe, is a factory for idiots. What does learned helplessness look like in adults? In adults, learned helplessness can cause issues with a person's relationships, work responsibilities, and psychological well-being. Additionally, it may be associated with issues like low self-esteem, low self-confidence, passivity, and decreased motivation. But how do you break learned helplessness? Therapy can help, as we said. It can help people to modify their thoughts and actions to overcome learned helplessness. It may also help build self-esteem, increase motivation, and address any underlying issue that may be involved. Finding new, fresh, and caring connections to associate with will also help you, as many of your current associations are also victims of learned helplessness and can reinfect you, causing you to go around in circles instead of escaping the clutches of learned helplessness. So I'm sure that you're finding this somewhat very instructive here, folks, because you don't hear this from anybody else. Everybody else just wants to get you involved in what? Weha. A lot of stupid people walking around with a smartphone, which they don't even know is a computer, and that it, through data, is connected to the world. And in their hands is the source of knowledge, But instead, they buy the latest camera, which they can make a call and send a text and mind people's business and jump on the people's page and see how they could, because they're not capable of original thought and original thinking. So they have to jump on the people's page to see if they could attack them, see if they could disagree with them, see if they could, oh Lord have mercy. Folks, one life to live. Let's live it with some order and some structure and get some benefits now, so that when you die, not even after you're buried, they forget you, you know. Sometimes as soon as you die and the death announcement hit, as soon as they hear it, they're like, oh, wow, all right. And they moved on. Because you are forgettable. Where is your legacy? Where is the contribution you made? Instead of coming to contribute to what? Global warming, that's all. Climate change. Sucking up valuable air and not contributing anything. No +1 to life. You just day. Like matter. Anything that has weight and occupies space. You're like a lump on a log, many of you. Wake up, folks, and smell the coffee. You're going to die one day anyway. But when the end comes for you, let it meet you climbing a new mountain and not sliding down an old. You see, folks, learned helplessness increases that risk for stress. And stress, you know what stress is? A result of poor choices. That's what stress is. Poor choices. When you do not position yourself for good knowledge, you make poor choices. Certain factors such as history of abuse, as we said earlier, whether domestic or political or governmental, especially as experienced over the years at the hands of this old nastiness right here in Grenada, not to mention a pessimistic outlook, can make a person more prone to learned helplessness. It is possible to overcome it with therapy and lifestyle changes. And one of the most important lifestyle changes for you to do is to circumcise the size of your friendships. Do some cutting. Do some cutting, folks. Because some of these people are just with you for what they can get from you. They have nothing to offer. Get rid of them. They could be a source of stress because poor choice in them as a friend can create some real stressful situations. So after all of this, anyone who believes that they are experiencing learned helplessness should consider speaking with a mental health professional who can assist them to take control of their circumstances. Learned helplessness causes the many destructive habits of unhappy people. Let's take another break and we'll come back for more.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful. I see the comments. You all are very interactive here. Elva, thanks for your comment there. She said she made some serious changes and she wouldn't be where she is today if she didn't make those serious adjustments. I see Hadasha is saying discernment by, I don't know that figure. I can't count this long figure, but I know it's probably more than 1 million. It's a lot. And you are right. We have to develop the spirit of discernment. I could see a hypocrite coming 10 miles down the road, even wrong corner. How come you can't? I listen for what people don't say. Can you do that? Of course you can, but you have to be conscious. You see, a lot of you are more interested in being religious and you're losing the ability to be spiritual. When you become spirit-centered, you develop easily the spirit of discernment, that power of discernment. You become wise beyond your time. Because you're not into what pastor say and pastor this and pastor that. The only thing I know pastor doing is he living better than you. Because he's part of what is called the Jesus industry. And you following him, tithing him, and making him drive a nice car while you walking. Oh God, among you stupid. Get spiritual, folks. God fears the beginning of wisdom. Remember that. That's a powerful passage. God fears the beginning of wisdom. That's to tell you how powerful wisdom is. That is to tell you how powerful wisdom is. So go out and get wise, folks. All of you in the Jesus industry dressing up on a Sunday because you're taking a rest from badness. And then Monday you resume badness. And then you crescendo on Saturday. Baddest, and you're just getting bad. And, oh, Jesus, help you. And then you come up for air on a Sunday. And then you resume being bad Monday. Spiritual people don't be like that. Religious people let us behave like that. The most hypocrite people you could find, you could look for them in a church congregation. The most gossipers you could find, you could look for them in a church congregation. Some of them go to church to see what who wearing and have to talk about them when they're walking up. They forget what they're inside there for. Sad. And that goes on all the time. That's why the population of those churches seem to be dwindling. Because they're not attractive anymore. They are places of silliness, mockery. They are just the Jesus industry. Pastor know why he is pastor. And you're doing damn well. And look at you. Still poor and vulnerable. Let me move on. Folks, welcome back. And for those of you just joining, come on, hit that share button. And let's get some more people in because I am ready to chat. You see, and going forward, here is where we will look at some destructive habits of unhappy people. Something I have mentioned before is what I learned to be one of the biggest blocks in our life. This is the type of blockage that prevents us from getting ahead. It holds us from having the ability to overcome many of the difficult situations we encounter as we go along our current existence, more so in this post-pandemic period. Folks, do not underestimate the damage to our mental faculties that all of us sustained on account of the pandemic. Whether you succumbed to it or not, meaning whether you cut it or not, it doesn't matter. You went through a period of uncertainty unmatched in your life. We all have been damaged. You see, folks, this block I am talking about here happens to be a habit. Of course, we can develop good and bad habits. But in this case, I thought it was important to mention the bad habits that create this block. We need to be aware of the things that we are doing, the things that are taking us nowhere, like supping and LOLing on our cell phones all day long, all into the night. It's kind of like spinning our wheels, unable to move forward, and then having the nerve to blame others for the poverty-stricken lives we get trapped into living. If you can identify some, if not all, of these within your life, perhaps it is time to rethink and take a closer look at your mindset, because what you think of becomes your reality. Habits are things we develop from childhood into adulthood. Some are more difficult to overcome than others, but nonetheless are not impossible to do so. All it takes is conscious and deliberate action. This time, pay a little extra attention to who you really are, rather than what you are living in, what you are driving, and what you do for a living, because these are often some things many people overlook. Yet it has profound effects in everyone's life. Let's, however, dig in a little deeper into each one. Know that there are always things you can do to change them. Now, a few more personal tips and resources have been added to help out a little bit. Let's look at some destructive habits people who are generally unhappy are doing. The first one, you live to please others. Why? Don't ask me. The person for me to please ain't born yet and the mother dead. You like that, eh? The person for me to please with my life ain't born yet and the mother dead. This is a devastating habit to possess, because you choose to live your life trying to make everyone else happy, and in turn, you fail to make yourself happy. Folks, take care, number one now. One of the best things you can do for yourself is to figure out who really drives you on a deep emotional level and then do it. Find out what it is that drives you and go out and get it and do it. If you continue to live to please other people, you will continue to fall into disappointment, frustration, and even anger at times. What is happening to you when you ignore and neglect number one, yourself, that is? You quickly become number two. And you remember when you were growing up, number two is a code name for fill in the blanks. People will seem to get used to it as well. And this is not necessarily something good for you. There is a parallel line between the people you please and how much you degrade yourself by solely trying to make others happy when you are not. Look at the many who still come out defending that old nastiness, for instance, while making nuisances of themselves and pedestrian spectacles for someone who is inherently not good and not decent, would not even make a mistake to do something good. There may be no harm in pleasing others once in a while, folks. But when this is all you do, expect unhappiness to take over your entire existence. The second thing we should look at here, folks, is you have an overwhelming fear of criticism. From his book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill stated that fear of criticism robs a man of his initiative, it destroys his power of imagination, limits his individuality, takes away his self-reliance, and does him damage in 100 other ways. You see, folks, most people spend their days worrying about what others think about them and will go to a great length to look good or save face. What a pity. The ironic part of that is those same people are so consumed worrying about what you think of them that they aren't actually thinking about you at all. Think about it. When other people criticize you for whatever reason, there are two possible ways you can take it. One, you can take it personally, sometimes so personally that you let it affect how you act, and you also suppress the real you, and can also be energy draining. The real you is a core essence of who you are. The people who appreciate the real you will stick around, and the people who don't like the real you will simply begin to fade away in the distance. I can attest to that, folks. You are bound to experience more happiness by not feeling restrained to express the real you by the cause of the people's views. The second thing is, you learn to accept it as the other person's opinion of you because, after all, this other person has no idea of what you have been through, what you have lived or even experienced. So if you think about it, it really is only their opinion. Not to mention that there could be other reasons people could criticize you, such as jealousy and envy. And so, listen to me carefully, folks. To hell with them. What people think about you, folks, is not your business. Just keep your character intact, because your character is who you are. When your character is intact and you take care of that, your reputation, what people think of you, will take care of itself. So when you accept it as the other person's view only, it automatically gets discarded in your personal space within your mindset. This means it won't stick to you and it won't drain any energy caused by you taking it personally. So you see how I operate now? You get a secret, folks? But you see, you cannot operate like this if your phone is a camera. When you have the source of knowledge in your hand, if you have an iPad, you have the source of knowledge in your hand. You're on the computer, folks, there's Google, there's YouTube. There are things for the mind that you can develop yourself, so that when these losers that Grenada seem to be a factory for, when these losers decide to want to take you on and mind your business wrongly, that is, because they're not correct, they're only perpetuating what they feel, not what they know, what they feel. And you take that personally, you're damaging yourself. Learned helplessness caused the many destructive habits of unhappy people. Make yourself happy now, man. Happiness is there for you too. Not only for some, happiness is there for you too.
Help develop the right
Good. Happiness is all available for all of us.
mindset for your
Very, very important, folks. So let's take a little break here.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful. So welcome back, folks. Welcome back. So as we continue destructive habits of unhappy people, the third one is you engage in negative self-talk. How many of you ever made a resolution or you made a plan that you're going to do X, you're going to buy a car this year, this is the year for your car. And as soon as you finish making that announcement in your head, the negative you kick in and you talk you out of it. You have nobody to blame because you're not committed. We have a lot of people who say, I try. Wow, you look so good. I try. You just give them a powerful positive. You look so good, man. Or you look so good, young lady. Well, I try. She takes it down. She tries. Well, thank you. And go in the flow. Go in the flow of that wonderful acclamation. But no, we have to zero it back down. Learned helplessness is paralyzing our nation, you know, folks. All our actions are derived from what we tell ourselves on a daily basis. Unhappy people have the habit of telling themselves things like, I don't know how, it's too hard, I can't do it, I'm not so pretty, I wish I was good looking as him, I wish I was pretty as she is. Rubbish. The key to change is to begin rephrasing these into positive thoughts. It takes practice, and you'll catch yourself being negative many times. But if you want to be a happier person, you have to start making those changes. Stay conscious and spend more time with yourself so that you can work on yourself. Stop wasting all this time in the Jesus industry, pretending you're going to Bible studies on a Wednesday. You're going to a set a long church service, bawling down and making a nuisance of yourselves in the village with a set of saying you're talking in tongues and all this rubbish. All of that is rubbish. Get yourself spiritually centered so that you become at one with your inner higher consciousness, and you would find God. You will surely find God. Bishop Sidney Charles once gave a story. At a graduation ceremony, I think it was the homily of the St. Joseph's Convent some years ago, before Ivan, when he said, God rest his soul, he said, you know, we have to understand that we are people too. This person died once. Well, had a dream rather that they died. And in the dream they died, they went to pearly gates, and St. Peter asked, "Who are you?" "Well, I am Enid Ferguson." No, 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 I didn't ask you your name. "Who are you?" "Well, Gustus and Evadne Ferguson, daughter." "I didn't ask who your parents are. I asked, who are you?" "Well, I lived in Tempe in Grenada." "I didn't ask your address. I asked, who are you?" Unfortunately, the person got up to use the bathroom. And then they realized, well, wait now, I was having a dream. Sat on the edge of the bed to recall the dream. And they recalled the dream and they realized, oh, wait now, but I don't know who I am. That's not good. And they spent the rest of their life working on who they are. Isn't that a lovely story, folks? A lot of us need to find out who we are and stop telling people who we are just by our association. I come with him. I deal with she. I deal with he. This man is my father. That one is my mother. No, no, no. Who are you? We have too many of these people that don't know who they are. I always tell people, don't ask me that now, because I had to ask you in return. I hope you have time. It's a long story. Because you are supposed to be your best subject, folks. You live with you. You're supposed to know you. Don't let people ask you, who are you, and you don't know. You only know your name, where you live in, who's your brother, who's your sister, who's your mother, who's your father, and you're done. No! You must give a long story, a long, satisfying story. Who want to say you're arrogant? Well, you know they have no story to tell. Because if they had a story to tell, they would have taken some cues from you and yours. None whatsoever tonight. Good? So, folks, the most influential person in your life has to be the person you live with. You. That is the person that can make something happen or halt all your progress into a more fulfilling and joyous life. That person can be no other person but yourself. You have to realize that you can be your biggest roadblock or your biggest motivator. If you don't figure out a way to make something happen, no one else will do it for you. Trust me. And even if somebody else figured out a way for you to make it happen, whatever it is that you want to achieve, that is, it would still be up to you to take the necessary action and keep a positive mindset to bring it into reality. Remember, folks, that self-talk has a very powerful effect on who you are and how you direct yourself going forward or even backward in your life. Start by implementing different modalities to start changing your internal program. It can be challenging to do this, but as you continue to do it, a habit will be created. This will help you to go at, or to, realize everything that you do, and it will become even natural, because that's what habits do. So why not form a good habit instead of the continuous bad habit that is getting you nowhere, but you're continuing it? Folks, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you will keep on getting what you're getting. And I know you don't like what you're getting. Well, stop doing what you're doing now. The fourth thing that we do as bad habits, destructive habits of unhappy people. You are a glass half empty person. Isn't that interesting? You see the glass as half empty instead of half full. Being a pessimist is the result of negative habits developed over a number of years. This habit is very hard to kick because it becomes so ingrained in your mind that it is second nature. In any situation, your first thought or your reaction is a negative one. Becoming an optimist will require you to develop new mental skills and retrain your entire thought process to see opportunity instead of struggle. This can be done gradually by consciously looking at your attitude and choosing to see opportunity instead of difficulty. A very good resource I recommend when rewiring your mindset into a more positive, and especially when it comes to being more optimistic, is none other than Christian D. Larson's Optimist's Creed. Christian D. Larson's Optimist's Creed. This will give you an idea of some of the key things you will want to pay attention to. Folks, you can Google that. Christian D. Larson's, Larson''S, Optimist's Creed. Check it out and make it into a habit. Start by reading these optimistic lines as affirmations that you can start to deliver into your mind. You will see that after doing this, it will become second nature as well. But this time, the tables will be turned around with something that is way more productive and also has the potential to change the way you think in a more positive way. Folks, destructive habits that cause unhappiness. The fifth one, you let the past dictate your future. If you happen to have a past riddled with negativity and bad experiences, chances are your personality will mirror this. You can't change your past, but allowing yourself to stay attached to it will also drag you down. Learn to let go of things out of your control and focus on today, because today, after all, is the only time you have. What can you accomplish today? There are many ways to deal with your past, of course. Professional counseling and therapy, including hypnosis, can help. But when your resources are scarce, or for whatever reason, you don't have access to those resources as other people, you can try this helpful technique for letting go of the past that still affects you today, as it could work for you also. Or you can start looking at what I've personally found to be one of the best methods to heal past negative experiences, as mentioned in a self-empowering awakening collection that I am privy to. Remember, folks, that the past is in the past. It has no basis in reality, but it is simply an old tape player that keeps playing the same movie in your head over and over and over again. It's time to let it go and allow that space in your mindset to be cleared for better and more productive things. The sixth area of destructive behavior that fuels unhappiness in people: you cannot forgive and forget. Harboring ill feelings towards someone or something is like carrying a 10-pound weight in your pocket. We all have had experiences that have left a sour taste in our mouth. For example, the period 1995 to June 22nd, 2022, for the most part. Forgiveness is a solution and is an incredibly powerful concept. Maybe you have been wronged or made a terrible decision in your life. Learn from it and move on. Forgiving is easier said than done, especially if it involves experiences that cause deep hurt, anger, depression, anxiety, hate, and even resentment. These are the types of experiences that can lead us to either become more destructive or becoming more spiritual in general. My suggestion is to become spiritual and let your deep-rooted spirituality guide you to instructively use your experiences to teach others what and who to avoid, as I do here, week in, week out. I really want to suggest that you become more spiritual. Indeed, become more spiritual, as it helps you to cope with the trauma of the past. Somehow, deep emotional experiences severely affect our psyche, thereby opening another area of our mind and even heart. This new area can be used to store more negative feelings or positive and uplifting ones that create wisdom and intuitive intelligence. A great sign that you have learned to let go of hurtful experiences is when you actually have a deep feeling of peace. Thinking about the experience no longer causes any negative emotions or triggers. Remember that forgiveness is something that you do more for yourself than for the person you are directing your feelings of forgiveness to. It will allow you to move on in your life. But of course, it's difficult, very difficult, to forget, even though you would have forgiven. But there's some therapy that you can go through. Good. But it is also instructive to use key examples of places, people, and things that others should avoid because from your experience, those were bad. And people must know, avoid them like the plague. The seventh area, you define yourself by your job. Oh yes, a lot of people F you by what you do, by where you work. Even you yourself feel a certain how telling people you're a janitor. You just clean out somewhere. Or you just run errands, you're an office attendant. You're shame. No shame in the game, folks. You should have no shame in the game. You're doing an honest day's work for an honest day's wage. And you must do it with pride. Do it with dignity. Do it with every fiber in your character. Let your integrity rule how you perform your job. But do not let your job define you. It is said that more than 70% of us don't like our jobs. In a society where we tend to view ourselves by what we do for a living rather than who we actually are, it is a fundamental problem, and it leads to the inability to separate ourselves from our professions. I can't even begin to describe how much this affects our lives. This calls for a very deep explanation needed to fully understand the extent of how this affects us in every way. Know that you have many great capabilities. Think of it as you being a creator or a destroyer. As simple as that. You can think, imagine, build stuff, generate new ideas, innovate. But if all you are doing is trying to work to earn a living with something you hate doing, much of the previously mentioned things are but a haze in the distance. So you are not creating, but merely existing. And as you continue this path, you may actually start destroying your true essence, as many areas of your life can start to deteriorate. Many jobs, unfortunately, can contain a lot of elements that suppress our natural creative abilities. A lot of times you're told to do something, stick to it, and don't ask questions. If you continue in a job like this long enough, you will start to forget the creative part of you and start behaving more like a programmed robot. As a byproduct, this could start to affect your relationship, your health, and just about every other aspect of your life. You see, folks, the suppression of your imaginative and creative abilities could be so damaging that many actually land in a depressive state of being, where you are unable to identify your purpose in life. Know that your job is not who you really are. It is simply a means for you to advance to the next step in your life's journey. This is exactly how you should look at it, especially when there is no immediate alternative. So folks, as you find the means, however, You should, at very minimum, pursue something you actually enjoy doing. Believe me, this will not only be better for you, but also for your family and even for the boss that you work for. Folks, when you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. So you see, all these things that I've shared there that are destructive habits of unhappy people, you realize learned helplessness cause these many destructive habits of unhappy people. Check yourself. Some of you need therapy, and be honest with yourself. Go get it. That's your business. Go get it. Let's take our final break here, and then we come back and finish up once and for all.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training, and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And human resource development.
Wonderful. So, we get ready. This is our final leg here now, folks, for the evening. So, let's pay some close attention. Welcome back. As we wind down this 159th edition of Edification, I want to remind you that you determine your destiny. We can all rewrite our scripts and reinvent ourselves and thus live out the rest of our lives as indeed the best of our lives. I remember looking at an interview with Tina Turner at the time she was 67. I want to believe it was it was Oprah's, one of her last interviews when she was on CBS as talk show queen, daytime talk show queen, when she was interviewing both herself and Cher. And interestingly, they were asked the question, both of them, how they think about getting older. Cher didn't like it at all, to the point where Cher said, you see, that's why I do plastic surgery. That's why I pull my face. That's why I'm not enjoying getting older at all. But Tina Turner said the second half of her life was kinder to her than the first half. Folks, you see, it's possible to reinvent yourself and make the rest of your life the best of your life. We all showed up to make a difference and add to what we met. We should never allow anyone to become so powerful in our lives that we surrender who we are to them and become victims of learned helplessness, learned haplessness, and learned hopelessness. The end result will surely be destructive, a destructive habit of perpetual unhappiness. Too many of us don't realize that We are the source of our own unhappiness. How we think draws us to experience what more often than not become our habits. And when those habits turn out to be not so good, what do? We blame others. Wherever you find yourself in life, folks, at some point in time, you made an appointment to be there. How you spend your downtime is a reflection of your expectations in life. For expectations show up in behavior. Spend your so-called spare time wisely and with people who matter and on activities that matter. Activities that are geared to bringing you up and not keeping you where you are or bringing you down. If you wish to succeed in life and not become captive to anyone's agenda for your life, you have got to position yourself properly for knowledge and continuous self-awareness. This will give you the power to affirm daily, I must be willing to do the things others will not do today in order to have the things others will not have tomorrow. It was Carl Jung who said, no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. We as human beings are very often involved in ubiquitous assimilation. That simply means always absorbing everything, everywhere, all the time. Be careful who you hang out with and where you hang, for fear that you absorb the wrong things and fuel your unhappiness. Too many of us are involved in double thinking, having two opposing beliefs at once and believing them both to be true. In other words, to deliberately believe in lies while knowing they are false. I need to be rich. I need to look good to be rich. Life has become a marketing holocaust, folks. And all the system sets out to do is to cajole and coerce us to think a particular way. And you know what is unfortunate? We go with the flow. We go with the flow. Folks, in closing, allow me to share Stephen Covey's funeral exercise in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, as follows. Quote, in your mind's eye, see yourself going to the funeral of a loved one. Picture yourself driving to the funeral parlor or chapel, parking the car, and getting out. As you walk inside the building, you notice the flowers, soft organ music. You see the faces of friends and family that you pass along the way. You feel the shared sorrow of losing, the joy of having known that radiates from the hearts of the people there. As you walk down to the front of the room and look inside the casket, you suddenly came face to face with yourself. This is your funeral 3 years from today. All these people have come to honor you, to express feelings of love and appreciation for your life. As you take a seat and wait for the service to begin, you look at the program in your hand. There are to be 4 speakers. The first is from your family. The second speaker is one of your friends. The third speaker is from your work or profession. And the fourth speaker is from your church or some community organization where you've been involved in service. Now think deeply. Think deeply. What would you like each of these speakers to say about you and your life? What kind of husband, wife, father, or mother would you like their words to reflect? What kind of son or daughter or cousin? What kind of friend? What kind of working associate? What kind of citizen? What character would you like them to have seen in you? What contributions, what achievements would you want them to remember? Look carefully at the people around you. What difference would you like to have made in their lives? Unquote. Folks, every morning you wake up, you must hold yourself accountable to the mission of working meaningfully to maintain your standard of living and quality of life. Find something you can like and love to do so that you will never work a day in your life. What else do you want out of life? You must go out and find somebody to work with to be better. You can work with yourself to get better. But until you know what you want to stand for, you will always just be sitting down. You will never stand for anything. Don't let your life screw you over. It's yours. It's yours to drive. Take control. Get up in the morning. Write down what you're going to do for the day. Be happy on your way to your job, even if it is a job you do not like. Be thankful you have one. Learn to like it, as you have very little alternative right now. Be happy on the way to happy and stop being miserable with the hope of being happy one day. Don't think you're going to be happy when you get there. Carry yourself with you to happiness. Don't run. Too many of us try to run. But you know what? You meet yourself when you get there. You can't escape. This is precisely why you must face the fear and live regardless. Folks, positively defined, fear, F-E-A-R, means face everything and rise. No more self-doubt, no more self-destruction, just self-discipline and self-development always. If you consider yourself a child of God, then start showing some of your father's traits, not the pastor's traits, some of your father's traits. You see, when you're spiritual, you could talk like this. When you're religious, you have to quote and tote the Bible. Just do it and don't stop working on it until your life has meaning, folks. As I take my leave, let me remind you that during trials and difficulties, you don't have to live worried and afraid. Whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jew, or otherwise, we all have a history with God. God brought you through in the past and saved you from a lot, including that old nastiness and his brigands. Be thankful. He's going to bring you through in the future, totally without that old nastiness. God was fighting your battles then, and God is fighting your battles now. All you've got to do is go back over your history and see how God has brought you through. For you are surely not where you used to be. When you start focusing on your past victories, faith will rise in your heart and you will walk in confidence, knowing the Master is in control of your life. You will find the encouragement to believe again for continuous victory so that you can be free from the yoke of poverty and vulnerability. After you realize that learned helplessness caused the many destructive habits of unhappy people, you will never want to walk that road of unconsciousness again. Folks, I just want to mention something just before I go. We've just heard or seen or witnessed the announcement of envoys, ambassadors, whatever you want to call them, that we have appointed to send out to represent our interest. And we're hearing all sorts of criticisms about our people. When old thief and conman and all kind of jagabat was appointed by the old nastiness, you heard nothing. Nothing. It was okay for us to be represented by international cons. But it is not okay for us to be represented by our own people. We just don't like ourselves. You see, learned helplessness has immobilized us and caused us to feel because we can't, nobody else who looks like us can too. Isn't that sad? While on that though, we need to advise this new crop of envoys to go and do the work and not get consumed by the trappings of the office to collect a salary whilst you socialize and hobnob with the who is who out there. We need some returns on our investment. If you want to prove all the doubting Thomases right, that you are the worst choice to have made, you go and relax and get yourself involved in, I'm a diplomat with a deep plate and you're all over tongue and you're all over, flashing yourself and whatnot. Organize yourself, folks. You're getting a chance to succeed. You're getting a chance to prove the government right to have appointed you. I have the confidence that you can. You too should have the confidence that you will, and that you will execute well on our behalf. Grenada needs scholarships. You know what it is for each of you to be able to throw a good 50 scholarships our way from your various jurisdictions? What that will do for the level of education in our country, which the old nastiness decimated for all the time he's been around the precincts of power. Folks, get yourselves together. We need deliverables. You have got a chance to succeed and shine. Grab it with two hands. Go out and do just that. Make us proud. Folks, I'm in, I'm out, I'm gone. See you next week, God willing, for regular programming. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and remain lifted. Peace and blessings to you all, folks. This has been a plum-pleasing pleasure, indeed. Indeed it has been.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to make payments online hassle-free. Log in securely with biometric technology. Make recurring payments easier with automated scheduling. Save time by paying your bills online. Transfer money to accounts at other local and regional banks. Send wire transfers on the go to anywhere in the world. Or send money to friends or family using Buddy Payment. E-payments, the swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training, and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group.